Today I'm going to show you how to plaster cast your hand. The process that I'm doing now, you can do the exact same way if you're going to cast your face. However, if you have very sensitive skin, I don't recommend it. If you are going to cast your face, leave space open for the eyelids. You do your eyelids last, and you do leave your nostrils open. To plaster cast a hand, you are going to need some Plaster Cloth. Yay! It's the same stuff I use for body casting. If you have a lot of hair on your arms, shave it off. Or if you have light hair, so you can use petroleum jelly from your local dollar store. What I recommend doing is when you're using your plaster gauze, I'm going to do my left hand. Pre-cut some small pieces first for your fingers, some medium for this part here, and then large parts for your arms. When you're applying plaster cloths, make sure you have a cup of water ready, not too hot, not too cold, somewhere in the middle. When you're dipping it, it's important to squeeze it a little bit, get all the holes out. I'm not going to use petroleum jelly because I'm fine. I've been doing this for a very long time. I have no hair on my little 8-year-old looking arms. When you put it on, try to keep it as straight as possible and smooth out all the holes. I recommend doing 2 layers because when you crack it off, you want it to be sturdy. I'm going to start doing some of my fingers. Rub out also the little holes on it. This is probably a really quick one that I'm doing. Now, it's easier when you have somebody helping you, but for this demonstration, I'm just going to quickly just be doing this to myself. I've casted my own head. Maybe I'll do a video of that when I get a chance. Now, plaster gauze is the same stuff that they use in hospitals when you break your arms, you break bones, and they have to cast it. So most people that I've known should not be allergic to it because in theory, if they can use it in a hospital, you can use it anywhere, right? Like I said, I'm doing this pretty quickly, trying to make it nice and neat. Larger pieces for the sides, trying to smudge out most of the holes. Now, if you wanted to make it like if you're watching Face Off, for example, and you see the wonderful plaster heads that they work with, what they do is they have to make the negative first. An easier way of doing it is casting the person's head with this stuff first, and then you would let it dry and keep it maybe in a sturdy box. Like if you want all of your details, you would then fill this negative with plaster on the inside. I kind of put a layer of petroleum jelly first before I do something like that. I'll show you that all your details are usually on the inside of your hand if you were to do or create a prosthetic later on from this. I've never had a problem with it. I've casted 8-year-olds, I've casted teenagers, I've casted people my age, I've casted older people, and people use this for casting stomachs. There's a lot of preggo ladies who do the same thing. I'm trying to make mine as smooth as possible. Hopefully you guys can see it okay. And it's important to keep yourself straight as possible. You don't want to move around too much or else it's going to crack your casting. You're going to see that it's going to start feeling a little bit warm on you. Don't panic, you're not getting burned. Just the plaster stiffening on the plaster gauze. You can actually buy this in any craft store or art supply store. You can buy it online. It's called Plaster Craft or Plaster Cloth. Going back into this and making sure my fingertips are covered fairly well. Your edges are really important. If they're weak, it could break your whole piece. So please make sure, like I said, I'm doing mine pretty quickly. You get your edges, and your edges are fairly thick. Small individual pieces are a little bit difficult. You don't want to crack them off. Sometimes they put a crisscross the finger parts. I'll show you to see. It's kind of looking like a glove, which we want. For my own sculptures, I just use the negative. I usually don't fill up the whole thing with plaster. So I like the rough quality of it for some of the pieces that I work with. You're already starting to see, if you're looking at my hand, I don't know if you can see it on my camera too well. I've never done a video before, but it's starting to stiffen. Just to speed up the process so I can end this video, I casted my right hand a few minutes ago. So when you crack it off, it should look something like this. I'm using this for a future sculpture. It's kind of hard to see, but all of your veins, your little details, your fingerprints are all on the inside. Let's say if I wanted my whole hand to show, I can put a little thin layer of petroleum jelly on the inside, maybe put it inside a box and buy powdered plaster and mix some water with it and fill up the inside. But like I said, I like using just the negative to build on top of for some of my own designs. Thanks for watching. And I'm back. It's dry, about 10 minutes. To pop it off, I just usually press my fingers all the way around the edge. And it's starting to pop. And you're seeing it's lifting on that side. At this point, you can wiggle your finger out a little bit. And I'm free! Yay! Yay, see? No rips, no burns. Pretty nice casted arm. Yay!